Hey class, good morning. This is Monday, so it's a start of a new week here in Advertising 409. We're in week 7, so I hope you're enjoying the class. Here's what we got going on this week. It's all about the media objectives and strategies this week. All right, so there's 2 main parts to the assignment. Okay, the first one is the media objectives. All right, so those are the goals. So goals, just very broadly, what are we trying to do? Okay, then part 2 are the strategies. Okay, how are we going to get there? What are we going to do to try to achieve these goals? Okay, so there are a couple of sections here. There are 5 objectives you need to address in part 1. Okay, we just came off the target audience assignment, so you have that information. Also, go back and look at your SWOT section, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats. Now, some of the comments I made on those, they were very operational for the bullet points versus communications related, right? So what are some communication strengths of your brand? The weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats, things like brand perception, or maybe they have an existing strong campaign and message and that sort of thing, right? So I know that there were a lot of operational things, as far as maybe the speaker quality and that sort of thing, but we really need to also focus on that communications aspect. So you may have to go back and look at my notes on that. You may have to redo parts of that for the final project. But for this assignment, okay, so we're looking at what are you trying to do and how are we going to get there? So target audience, geographic priorities, timing and scheduling, budgeting, integration of the paid, owned, and earned, right? So what are the goals? Okay, so I want you to think through each of those and, give some specifics to it. Okay, so don't be too broad with that section. And then the media strategies is exactly how we're going to get there. Okay, so for example, when I worked on the islands of the Bahamas, that was one of our clients, we had a geographic priority, and that was East Coast. Okay, so again, we're talking broadly. And the strategy behind that, the rationale behind that is because if you're in places like in the Midwest or even the West Coast, it's a hard flight to get to the Bahamas, okay? From the East Coast, there are nonstop flights from places like New York or Washington, D.C., Boston. So that's why we're focusing on the East Coast, right? These are the people most likely to go to the Bahamas, right? So again, that's where we're kind of getting in our target audience mention there, right? So an objective, a goal would be to, for geographic priorities, the East Coast. And then you might throw in some rationale too, because that is the easiest flight to get to the Bahamas. Then the strategy is how are we going to get there, right? What are the support points, the reasons that we are going, the things we're going to do, right, to reach that objective. So if our geographic priority is the East Coast, then our strategy is more specific, right? I'm going to focus on Boston, Philadelphia, New York, Washington, D.C., right? So I've picked those specific things. And then you start talking about timing and scheduling, right? So we're going to, as an objective, focus on those times of the year when people are most wanting and thinking about a vacation, right? We're probably not advertising during hurricane season, for example, right? So we pick those times when consumers are most likely to probably buy a trip. So think about that. When would that be? So you talk about now your target audience. You start thinking through that. So all these sections kind of weave together, right? So the strategy then for timing and scheduling would be the specifics, right? So we are going to launch our campaign in January, February, and March, right? When people have cabin fever, maybe you're in places where it's really cold and the snow is starting to really get to you, right? Target audience mindset, right? I'm getting depressed. I can't get outside. I want to get a vacation. So you start planning your vacation then for summer, right? Times when you're not advertising would probably be in the fall during hurricane season, which is kind of right now. And then times like November, December, those are the holidays, right? There is a lot of communications out there for the holidays. Now, if you're working on a smart speaker, maybe that's a good time. You're starting to think about Christmas or other holidays where you're giving, shopping, think Black Friday after Thanksgiving, right? So again, think through some of these things. But what I want you to understand is the objective is the plan. and the strategy are the specifics, right? This is how we're going to get there. Okay. So for the specifics, media mix, what paid, owned, and earned strategies are you going to use? Or again, be specific. Are you going to use their YouTube channel? Are you going to use this or that, right? So again, broad picture is the objective. More specifics, right? It's going to be the strategy. So I'm going to look for some thoughtful essay here on the information that you've already provided, right? So you've done the target audience, you've done paid, owned, and earned, right? So build on that, use that information, your SWOT, and then apply it now to your objectives and strategies, okay? Now, if you look at the reading for this week, I believe it says to review chapter 7, which is good. That's the media cost section, and that is one of those objectives and strategy sections you have to do. You're supposed to read chapter 16, which is traditional media. I would also go back and look at chapter 9. Chapter 9 is called Media in Marketing, and that's where it talks more about objectives and strategies. So you're going to want to go back and look at that. Okay. Guideline stuff, again, 3 to 4 pages, single space, use citations. Please check the spelling, right? Spelling, typo, grammar stuff. I am pretty good at calling that out just so you can, I want you to, as part of this class, to become a better writer as well. So you'll see comments on that also. If you have any questions, as always, just let me know. I'm happy to answer anything, but, I'm looking for a thoughtful essay, build on the information you've already gathered for your product, and, just be very thorough and detailed. A lot of information I've seen too tends to be a little more vague. And, for this kind of thing, especially that strategy part, we're going to want some specifics. Okay. All right. Well, you guys have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.